What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me today? Sound quality should be fixed. It was a struggle, but I believe I conquered it. Hopefully it sounds good on your guys' side. We'll wait till you check in. Welcome to Sunday. Kind of a bit of a just fiddle around on the bench. For those of you who remember the OMG 63, one of my favorite projects, this is going to make its way back eventually for a final episode, but I have a lot of work to do on it before then. So, Phoenix, you're killing me with you're killing me. Lots better than, yes. So, let me tell you, a lot has been done on the sound, and I fixed the glitch. Anyway, the OMG 63. I don't know if, hopefully you guys watched this series because it was, like I said, one of the most fun things I've ever done. This is the Traxxas TRX6 6x6, mainly, partially. I don't know, some of it. Anyway, we had done a full custom body kit on it that I designed. It's been lowered way down. Obviously, you can see it has the drag tires and wheels on it. And underneath, of course, you can see the underpan that we designed. Nice, smooth. You can tell the rear diffuser exploded, but I'll remake this whole rear section before we re-attempt our speed run. But taking the body off, currently underneath, we've got the Traxxas Haas motor in here. And what we're going to put in is the 2200 6S motor that they use in E-Revo, maybe? 2.0 E-Revo? I can't remember exactly. But this is it's like a half-inch or more longer than the current one. It should bolt up to the motor plate, but it's going to make me completely redesign a servo mount. I'm gonna have to probably move my ESC. Maybe not though. I think the ESC might actually, well, depending on how I have to put the servo in, ESC may have to go. But this is what I'm going to use to try and push this 6x6 past 70 miles an hour. So it's quite the motor. Anyway, that's what I'm going to kind of fiddle around with today while we chat about whatever's going on. On Sundays, I mainly try and pay attention to what's going on in the chat, answer as many questions as possible, and just have a relaxing Sunday. Sound is great. Now, did you get a new interface? So that was, let me tell, hours of experimenting, moving from one computer to the next to try and make sure, like, figure out what hardware, or if it was a hardware issue or a microphone. Anyway, I did not end up having to get a new interface, luckily, because that was way more expensive. But I found out, I figured out through a number of, I don't really know if I actually figured it out. I think I just did things enough that I ran across the right combination, but it worked. So, good morning from Sweden. 7 in the evening there, Jens. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, these Sunday 10 a.m. ones definitely seem to work better for everybody in Europe, especially. Any plans to attend Axial Fest Midwest? I don't know yet. I'm not saying I won't for sure. It just depends on how everything else stacks up and what other events kind of happen at the same time. But I would like to make it out there. Hey, what's up? Matt checking in. I know you've been busy. Josh, how much caster would you consider acceptable for a crawler? Well, I mean, it's kind of like competition crawlers. We used to run a lot of caster, way past 20 degrees. So you can kind of run whatever you think is looking good, anywhere from 2 degrees to 20, I think, even on a scale rig is fine. Especially with portals. So with portals, you can even sometimes end up with a little more. Whoops. Let's see. So we have Sweden, the UK, Salinas Valley. What's going on? Buckley, Washington. Everybody checking in all over. All right. Come on. Matt and I both used the VXL 8S ESC when we did these. I'll be retaining the ESC. I'll just move it as appropriate. In the last episode, or the finale or whatever, I had showed that I moved it. I never showed the actual mount. I made this plate that goes up here that slides right down into one of the front cross braces and attaches from the bottom. The bad part of that is that to get that off, I think I actually have to take off the whole bottom plate. So maybe it'll stay on there for now. And it appears that I only got a screw in one side, maybe. I don't know. It did the job. This was always such an interesting build. I honestly, I totally agree. I really liked this one as well. It just was so much fun. Matt and I both, I think. Well, obviously Matt had, I think Matt had to do more work than either of us for sure, just because he had so much, he had so much repairing to do. What are friends for? Oops. Sorry, I reloaded my stream on one side. Matt, repairing is a nice word for it. Yeah, you know, it's nice. Maybe I missed it. What body are you going to put on? I'm going to stay with the stock body. This body is the one that was on it and the one that will stay on it. I think that while I could find some other body that would fit it and help with speed, I think that the cool part about this is that it still uses the same body. Even though we're out of monthly mayhem, I think it's worth keeping that body. When you disassembled the Rift, did you happen to calculate the final stock ratio? I didn't. I should have, and I didn't. Are you going to try belted tires on? Yeah, I'll switch over to the reactions all the way around. I didn't run them during the actual competition because I wanted the Hoosier logo. I thought they looked good for that NASCAR look. So that was the reason that I didn't run them that time. I actually had them on there initially, but the look I wanted required the white letters. I could have white lettered reactions, and maybe I'll see about that. I think I'm going to ask Proline if they'll put together a set of reactions glued up for me. Since, you know, the tread can't get backwards like Matt's, I think I'll be fine. Let's see. Crescent City, California. Ocean and Redwoods. I don't know what Crescent City is, but... All right. I think we got a lot of stuff to take off in the front end here so that I can actually get to the motor area. It needs a Lloyd body or two. A stretched Lloyd body, that, you know, I could see that. Never in a million. So we'll pull this front brace out. I'm going to pull this motor out as well, which I believe I can get to completely by, can't remember if it's 2 or 3 screws, but it's just those 2. No, all the third as well. So I can't remember what aluminum motor mount I went with, but it was just one that was available to me quickly, so that was the purpose of that. Again, let's, I suppose we can dismount this one totally. Can I get that pinion through there? Nope. Take the pinion off first. All right. Got to take out all the screws. All right. Need to put the GNS. So yeah, actually, I totally agree. I will definitely throw in that GNSS, that SkyRC GPS tracker, because also I'm likely going to lose the Traxxas TQI link, because one thing that Matt and I both experienced was that the Traxxas radio doesn't have great reception. So I want to be able to run this thing out longer, and to do that I'm gonna have to change radios. Either that or I'm gonna have to chase it with a car, and I don't want to do that either. So I'm going to swap out to one of my Futaba radios and remove the TQI link. I'll probably do at least one run with the new motor and the TQI just to see what I can do and kind of compare. I'll put the GNSS in there too and just compare the numbers. I used my Dynamite GPS tracker, and it was really close to the same as the Traxxas. So I feel pretty good about it. I just need to, actually, I guess I can leave that heat sink on there. I don't really have to remove it. Where did I do? There's it. So there's the difference in motor. You can tell the length is a little bit, but the diameter is also significant. So it's a much larger motor. Should have a decent amount more power. But can we also? They said that it should mount up. The bolt pattern, I believe, matches. Where's it at? There's one. So let's just see about mounting that up. Now this is a 20. I'll probably have to adjust gearing, but that shouldn't be too bad. I'm just gonna lightly put this in there, and I got to put the pinion in just in case. I don't want to forget that I didn't really install this all that well, and then try and run it and end up absolutely okay. So yeah, I have a considerable interference issue with the servo. Definitely not going to drop. What motor is it? It is a Traxxas 2200. It's a 6S rated motor, whereas the Haas motor that we were using was only 4S rated. So we ran it on 6S, and this ESC is rated to 8S. So, but I hope that with the extra power of this motor, I should be able to gear it more aggressively and go from there. One thing that I did do is that I put underdrive gears in all of these axles. So technically I could pull those out, put the stock ratio back in, and get some gearing back if I'm finding out that I'm running out of gearing to be able to hit the numbers. That is the real, that's the real one. I'm interested. But 6S will definitely be, it'll be where I start. I'm not going to start with 4S. We'll just go right to 6. Evan, when I drive this one, I will be elevated. I will not be, I will not be in the line of fire again. This thing has some mass to it. I'm not sure if this is heavier or my Arma Limitless is heavier. I think this one might be. You could put the OD gears in the axles. I could. Can I get that steering link off? Oh, I'll take it off at the knuckle because I can't access it from the bottom right now. But yeah, if I need extra gearing still, yes, I could do OD gears in the axles. And depending on how crazy I want to get with this, that's an option. I had already cut the back of the servo mount of this out just to fit the Haas motor. So that was not, it makes it a lot easier to access. So many, why did I have to organize the wiring so much? It seems ridiculous. So I think that, I'm pretty sure that this motor is used in the in the X Max, or not X Max, Revo 2.0. Maybe the UDR? I don't know. I would like to note that I'm still using the stock servo. I did all of that running on this thing with the stock servo. 60 however miles an hour. What did I do in this? 65? Yeah. So, that, pretty impressive. Max and Revo. There we go. Wait, the Max uses this? I thought the Max was only 4S. Either way, who knows? Okay, I'm going to put my steering screws back in so that I don't lose them. I should really take the tire off so I can see. We aren't pushing the servo. It's max on straight line drive. Yes. But you really need it to steer when you need it to steer. So, you know, I'm just saying, still pretty impressive that it held up. I think Matt's experienced some damage pretty early on. Curb related. All right, let's see. Did Matt didn't hit the curb every time. He just hit the curb the last time, right? I gotta go back and watch it now. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. You need a fast servo at high speed. Yeah, you know, that was the thing. Like, honestly, for this go around, upgrading the servo is probably not a bad idea. It's probably a pretty reasonable thought to say, you know what, with what we're attempting here, we probably need more servo. I'm gonna have to trim even more. It's getting into the side of the mount. So I'm gonna have to Dremel that whole area out. But it's getting to be a lot of motor up in that area. I enjoy the look of that. So, oh man. Yeah. So let's look at some comments. Obviously, I'm not going to get a ton done on this because it's going to take a bunch of fabrication and fiddling and sanding and grinding and changing. And for the most part, I just wanted to kind of get this out of the garage, hit it with the air compressor to dust it off, and then see exactly what it was going to take. And just seeing that motor in there is a bit of motivation as well. That motor was in the stock brushless Emax back almost 10 years ago. What? That's crazy. This baby will run. Josh has developed the need for speed. Yeah. Hello in Newfoundland. Newfoundland. I run a reefs on my Juggernaut. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably run a Futaba servo just to keep something really nice in there. And obviously, it's the ones that I like to run the most. I think they're still one of the best. Has that got portals? No, we did a portal delete on this the first week. So that on all of them. So steering setup up front, and then the straight axles on both the rears. Now the rearmost axle is still in great shape. The center axle, though, the axle, either the, I'm not 100% sure yet. I need to get into that, but the parts in this axle, as far as the axle ends, definitely feel worn out already. So I'm going to have to get into that and see how bad those are, because the center axle has a lot of walk to it this way. The rear, though, is dead solid still. So it could have been an odd, this axle has to transmit the power from the center drivetrain through it back to the rear. So yeah. Will you be running a Seitan motor? You know what? My Seitan motor and the Reliant Regal are already in Moose Jaw's hands. I made a delivery to him yesterday with the full Reliant Regal to him. And even he agreed, it's basically a hard body vehicle. It's crazy. Does Futaba stop the wobble at high speed? You mean like a gyro? Or do you mean just regular? I mean, if you have a nice strong servo, it should hold it pretty. If you have a weaker servo and it might start chasing itself a lot. So that Reliant is cool. I'm so excited for all of my new 3-wheel vehicles. The sidecar build, which is right there up on the shelf, so much. Can't wait to drive it. But I'm going to wait until the new tires come in, just because I did have the 40 millimeter wide rear tires on it right now, and they're touching the outside of the body. So I ordered 30 mil, and I'm going to drop those on. So that's the plan. And then I can drive it. So excited. Can you buy that chassis? Do you mean this chassis? This is a Traxxas TRX6. I mean, the chassis itself is not, I made a new battery plate to lower things down. And then I took the big inner fenders that are on the TRX6 off and put on the TRX4 Sport shock towers all the way around. So, and then the rest of it's just, I put this body kit on it, but the chassis itself, exactly stock. So there's nothing else to it really. I've been looking hard at the Camtech since Friday. Scott, they're reasonably inexpensive. So, do you still drive the VS410 Ultra and Pro you took on the Rubicon Trail? That vlog was awesome. Absolutely. My VS410 Pro is my go-to everyday vehicle. So whenever I'm if I'm just going out, even if I'm not filming or whatever it is, the VS410 Pro is the vehicle that gets taken. It's just the one that I drive all the time. So yeah, it's definitely it's the car that I go to. I don't drive my Ultra as much. I still drive it some, but just not as much, because I just like my Pro so much. So I feel bad that I neglect it, but it also looks so good. I love that green color on the body. But still, my VS410 Pro, it's if you can only have one, I'm just okay, well, I'm going. There we go. Is that the Camaro? Is that Camaro I see? Oh, you're talking down there? That's my, that's the, what is that called? Kyosho Phaser. Oh, I'm dropping frames. Come back. I'm waiting for the frames to come back. Oof. Dropping low. Hey, we're coming back. No, maybe. Oof, sorry. Hopefully it comes back. Apologize for that. We're catching up finally. Sorry about that. I don't know why, but we're getting there. Looks so tiny. Yes, this is, I mean, God, it does look crazy tiny next to it, next to this thing. But it's, it doesn't even look like a 10th scale car, but it is. It's, I don't know why. I guess, I mean, this is just a normal 10th scale on-road platform. It really does just look so small next to this enormous TRX6. But underneath of this is actually, you can see those dual rear servos there, 2 servos up front. There's 1 on each side. This has got the Super Scale 2020 active suspension kit in it. And I need to, honestly, this thing is done other than programming. So I just need to program it. I just haven't done that. I think it'll be a good project for one of these Sundays. But I need to update the firmware first so that I'm not fiddling with firmware while I'm trying to do a stream, because that would be super annoying. But beyond that, these things are fun. I actually have 2 of the Phaser chassis vehicles. I've got this one, and then I've got the Alpine. And they come brushed, but even brushed, they're really quick. And I mean, they're fun. So it's just kind of a fun little project. And I felt that I think that this body looks so good that I wanted to do something with it. And the Super Scale kit was what I decided to do. Now, I haven't actually finished it. Do I need body mounts in the front? Oh yeah. I did a front body mount delete, so I need to fix that for sure. But fun little project. We'll get there. Let's see. I've been crawling heavy since 2007. Now I'm getting addicted to speed running. You know, I think it's nice to have a well-rounded area of expert, you know, of not expertise, but where you like to play, and it helps. See, for me, crawling is really always what gets me the most. It's but like, you know, you can get burned out on any area if you're just, that's all you're doing. But for me, it's like if I get kind of burned out with crawling, then I just like get into fabrication heavy, because the fabrication is definitely the part that I enjoy, the most out of anything. So like with the speedrun stuff, I find that is fun, but fabricating something that is not supposed to go fast, more funner. Nicole started up Sookie's OnlyFans stream using all the internet. Sometimes I wonder, it's like, I don't know if it's the internet, because our internet's really good, but who knows? What about RC drifting? I've done it a little bit, and it didn't grab me enough. Like, I like it, but I only ever had, like, when I would go to a meet or whatever, I'd have a couple hours where I was like, but then I was kind of like, I'm kind of done. But, you know, with that said, it's like, you can have fun doing, I can pretty much have fun at any RC thing, no matter what. So, can't be too picky. Want a Delta plastic for speed? I have no idea what that means. TTO2s are awesome. Oh, Alex. Phasers and TTO2s the same. They're just fast enough to be fun. I think that's about perfect. Yes. Put a streamliner body on it and go for the fastest TRX6. Well, I think I already am the fastest TRX6. Pretty sure no one's gone faster. And I'm going to do it with the OMG 63 body, because still, it's just even better. Yeah, I don't think anybody's done a faster TRX6 yet. And I'm not even like really trying to be like as fast as absolutely possible, because if so, I'd put in like the TP motor and the Max and the XLX2. But I'm using like Traxxas. When we did this initial challenge, Matt and I proposed it to Traxxas. We're like, hey, here's what we'd like to do. We'd like to try and take TRX6s and make them go as fast as possible. And Traxxas agreed. They're like, that sounds like a fun idea. They're like, we would be totally into it, but we would like you to use Traxxas electronics for everything. So that's when they send us the VXL8S and that Haas motor. And so it's even better because then we didn't have to buy the motor in ESC. So, and then after the whole thing was done, I sent him an email. I was just like, we had a great time. You know, we had emails afterwards, but then it was like a month or two later. I was like, hey, I would like to go back to this and just see if I could make it go even faster. Would you send me an even bigger motor? And they agreed, and this thing came in the mail. Drifting just didn't get any traction with you? Oh, dad jokes. Is there a way to lock the front wheels to do 4-wheel burnouts? So there was previously. I'm guessing you mean 6-wheel burnouts. But because right now this is still, the front wheels are still driving. But I took out the diff locking servos and made these little 3D printed parts over here that hold the shift cables into the open position. Technically, I could go in to each of the axles to remove the actual shifting guts to make sure that it stayed in fully open all the time. Maybe I'll do that if I end up getting back into these, just so that I can pull out all the cables and reduce even more things from the chassis. But for now, it was one of those things like when Matt and I were doing this, these things are so in depth. We spent, I have a hard time like actually thinking about what the amount of time Matt and I probably put into these vehicles in truly a month's time. It had to be, I had to do, I would still work a regular everyday job 5 days a week, extras as well. But I know I did an average of 6 hours a day for 7 days a week, like for that entire month. So it was definitely a lot. There has to be a couple hundred hours in this thing. Plus all of the materials and, machine time and 3D printing time where I just clicked it and went to bed. And, oh. Did you ever find out what your rankings were at the Nationals? They posted all of the scores. However, they lost my scale points in class 1. And then in class 2, they had a typo and they put positive 30 for my scale points instead of negative 30. So I have no idea what they would have been, where it would have calculated. I don't really care either. It was just fun. So I don't know what I would have been. It was only a month, but it felt like 6, Matt says. Yeah, it really did, because the amount of, Matt and I were going back and forth talking the whole time. Like, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm doing, here's this. Like, here's the issues that I thought it is. I tell you, the first week, I thought that I was in so much trouble because this thing was so uncontrollable until I realized that I had the freaking diffs locked. And that was just like, when I turned them to unlocked, it was so smooth. I was like, oh, whoops. My bad. So yes, is that the X01 motor? I don't really know. I don't think that it was the X01 motor. I thought it was from like the eRevo 2.0 or something like that. It's a 2200 kV 6S motor. And that's really about all I know about it. They just said, this is the biggest one that we make that should mount up. I sent the email to the guys at Traxxas. They're like, okay, here. Like, we talked to the engineers. This is the biggest motor they think that you could make fit that will bolt up without having to make some sort of completely custom milled aluminum motor plate. So it's like done. We'll go from there. And I think that this is going to be perfect. You know, I'm not trying to do 100 with this. I'm just trying to do 70 plus. So I only need 5 more miles an hour. Now, it gets exponentially harder as things go with a 6-wheeled vehicle that weighs a lot, but should be okay. I mean, there's things that I could put on a diet in this. I've got a 1/4-inch Delrin front brace up here that is like the basis of my front bumper splitter air dam area, and I could remake that out of some lighter material and really pocket it out a lot to help reduce the weight. That would be something, you know, because that's if I want to start getting picky and start really going through this, that is one area where I could take out an ounce or more probably. I don't find golf fun in any aspect though. What? Golf is, I'm just saying, I am a bit of a golfer. I enjoy golf. Golf can be very fun. And I do like the golf cart part of golfing as well. But just saying, I've been golfing since I was in middle school or elementary school maybe. Alex talking crap about golf. Guy on a moose saying, sorry, Delta Plastic makes a super fast, large scale Lexan bot. Oh, okay. I have seen some of that. I've seen some of their speedrun bodies. So I see what you mean, but no, I'm not changing it up. I like the big brick body I'm trying to push through the air. I mean, I could, you know, I think that this would be such an odd one to find a body for because it's not that wide, but it's super long. So I'd have to like cut out the back of it. I almost wonder if I could get like the Bugatti speedrun body that Proline makes and then just like cut out the back portion of it. And it would just still look so bad. So bad. Ground hugging weight. It is low. At least there's that. Golfers are funny people. Pasture pool. Play a little pasture pool. It's not the XL1 motor. That would be the big block. It's longer than the... Yeah, I didn't think it was the XL1 motor. I think that one... I agree. I think that one was bigger. Golf is fun if you don't take it seriously. That is a great point. I am not a serious golfer. But I'm also not a drinking golf person because that takes forever. I like to actually golf. But keep moving. Let's move it. Let's have fun, but let's go fast. Hey, how's it going? First time I've seen this. That build looks nuts. You should check out the playlist that's in the description. It really was a crazy build. It has and especially with the TRX6 body on it. Granted, I don't have the front body mount on now, but it's a truly impressive thing to see. And it sounds like a missile going down the road. It's just so big, so many gears, so many... so much noise this thing makes as it careens down the road. What's the point if you're not running the G-Wagon? Matt, and that's exactly it. If I just wanted to go fast, I would finish my Limitless behind me. Because that... Like if I was just trying to make something go as fast. Yeah. Comparing the two though. It's actually, the TRX6 has a longer wheelbase. I did not know that. They're pretty comparable though, matching up the front. I've got about an inch longer wheelbase, I think, on the TRX6. Yeah, that's wild. And the width is considerably wider on the Limitless. If I'm matching up the outside there. Yeah, I've got like 3+ inches more of width on the Limitless. Let's see. Let's guess here. Oh, like right dead nuts 3 inches wider. Maybe I need this rear wing on the TRX-6. That might be fine. But I did put the I put the TP motor in this one. That great big ass motor. It's massive. Caught it. That's the XLX2 ESC. Yeah. So the motor on this thing. Well, let's see. Here's the Haas. Here's the Haas motor. Can I get the heatsink off of it? Yeah. Which the Haas motor, let's see, matching up the front. The Haas motor is not small, but compared to that TP motor, it's 1.5 inches shorter. So there's definitely, the Haas motor looks like a starter motor for this thing. And then the XLX2 ESC is what I'll use in that Limitless for speed. And it makes even the VXL 8S look small. So anyway. Why is yours not beat up like Matt's, I wonder? Yeah. I was really lucky that this thing just always went straight. Every wild thing I tried happened to work and kept me going pretty nice and straight. You need a sticker behind the rear like Cletus's Ruby. I do like that idea. I'm on board for that, Matt. Matt Conley. That's pretty funny to see. Yeah, the Limitless and this thing on top of each other. Huh. Are there any mad... Oh, sorry. Put the Limitless on a trailer behind the TRX-6. Yeah. It would actually look appropriate. You could remove the drive from the front and replace it with a brake. You could 4-wheel burnouts plus give more power to it. We thought about that. In the rules, Matt and I had put in there that you had to keep the 2 rear axles powered. But honestly, it seems like having the front wheels powered, which we've tried, has made it helps tremendously with handling. So we both decided we were not going to play with rear wheel drive only on this. I want a Limitless for off-road purposes. Yeah, I could see that though. But no. Dale C. Damn it, dude. I just started folding laundry. My wife is going to be pissed. It will take an hour longer if I... hour longer than it should. I get that. If you take long enough, she'll just do it next time. Next challenge, make an RC 4-wheel drive beast go 60 miles an hour. I think the only way that an RC 4-wheel drive is going 60 miles an hour is if it's strapped on top of something more reliable. Josh, I have a problem with my F9 Poro top links move about an 1/8 sideways. What can I do about it? Make sure you're using the right pivot balls. I guess that would be the first thing I would check. Wider wing with rudders will help with stability. I don't know that I'm going fast enough to have rudders actually help, but I think that that style of wing could look fun. Damn, that front wing will hurt you if it hit. Oh, on the Limitless? Yeah. No, this one even hurts a little bit. So that chassis begs for a semi-tractor kit. Is it Limitless 4-wheel drive? It is 4-wheel drive. It is a locked center diff, open front and rear diffs. Why not work on the next project since you're done working on the TRX4 already? Because Sundays are more about answering questions than actually getting a lot done. And I am going to try and put some of this stuff back on here at least so that I don't lose it. More than anything, I wanted to kind of just get an idea of mock-up on some of this stuff. I'll probably still run my wild turbo fan because that thing was, I couldn't believe after, so on the final week of the monthly mayhem, I had added the heat sink to the Haas motor because it was starting to get hot, and I added this wild turbo fan, and it made such a tremendous difference. Like, it was barely getting much over ambient temperature. So I think that I could have made more speed with that motor that I was using even, but now I threw all of the spacers back in under this, but I don't need them anymore since I don't have a heat sink. But we'll cross that bridge later. Brian Sherwood, thank you very much. What do you do with all your spare time? You know, I like to go on walks at the beach, but since I don't have one nearby, I just keep working on trucks. There we go. Do you have a discount code for A-Main Hobby? I don't have a discount code. Some of the links that I use for A-Main in like my videos, just they'll track where you guys came from. Like if you watch them from one of my videos, which helps A-Main support some of us, but I don't actually have a discount code. Nothing I can do there. Oh. Power in the front wheel really helped. Yeah. So sorry, my thing stopped scrolling and therefore. Limit with outcast A-arms and everything works. Yeah, I mean, I could see what you mean there. I think it'd be more fun with a different body, but still. Dale, I've been trying the last 7 years. It hasn't worked yet, but I'm still trying. So far, I just end up going gorilla from no clean clothes. I have a magic hamper. Clothes go in, well, they go somewhere near it at least, and then they end up getting cleaned. That should rocket at full throttle. I really hope so. I think that this thing could legitimately have what it takes to do 70. Looking at this front situation now, that's the big thing is that I know I have to make a new servo mount. I think what I'll end up doing is turning the servo was in this orientation with the servo arm pointing forward, and it was right here, basically right where the motor is now. So I think what I'll try and do is keep this position where the arm is, but basically rotate it about that point, and then make a new servo mount that is up in the front area there, basically where my ESC was during the last rendition. So that is where I'll put that, and then we'll have to move the ESC for a third time. And I'm not 100% sure what I'll do for that yet. The last time I did it, I kept everything off of the sides to try and let things flow through. I don't know that that's going to be as feasible anymore. I think that I could possibly get it up in this area, which there's plenty of room because it's just, you know, it's an open cab of the truck. So I could probably make a new mount. Actually, I could. I'll mount off the top of this motor plate. I'll move the fan slightly. I'll redesign this front battery stop that I've got to make sure that I have clearance. And I'll make just a nice, simple machined carbon fiber plate that handles the cooling, all of that. That'll actually be perfect and super simple. There's a nice mounting area up here. I can tie it into everything. I'll be able to take a couple of screws in and out and just have a super clean carbon fiber setup that I could even maybe double up the cooling fans or have the ability to double up the cooling fans. Make it look super cool. I like it. I'm in. I agree with me. Let's see. I want a Harley design shirt. Ron, we were working on that. I'm going to have Nicole start working on that actually. And she is going to be in charge of all of it. shipping them, getting the design. She's not going to design them. She will come up with whatever she wants on them, and I will have them designed. And then we'll have them printed, and she will take care of all of it. Because she's really good at that side. And then you guys can harass Nicole if something hasn't shipped. Alex, Nicole must be the world's most patient woman. Yeah, right? Jason H, shock change, or do they work good? These are the stock TRX6 shocks. Now, I have them limited internally with some fuel tubing. And they worked, I think, well enough for this. I think that a shock change isn't unreasonable. Maybe it would be a good idea. So I just don't know if I need it or not. I don't know. I mean, maybe I could go to a larger bore. I think that I could still even lower this thing a little bit more. But on the road that I was running on, I mean, I could probably try and be a little pickier with finding a better road. But even so, like there were some of the bumps that I would hit and I could hear it. I could hear it scuff. Not badly. And I mean, it looks... Motor fell out. And I really don't know where it touched because the bottom still looks so pristine. I can tell the front lips of these have touched a little bit. And maybe just the air dam. So that could be it though. The air dam, it helped tremendously when I put it on. This lower, not the air dam, but the, what is that called? Splitter? Is that correct? This extension up here. So I was noticing that the front end of this car was starting to get light. So I put this splitter on there and it's about 1.25 inches long at the widest point. And that really helped at speed start to keep this front end down more and more because it changed how it drove. Like, it just overnight. It was an easy change to make and it just, everything was just instantly more controllable up front. So, and for this type of vehicle, I feel like that was a win. But I wonder if that's what was starting to touch. I wonder if it was starting to kind of pull it downwards, you know, more so than just the truck, but actually pulling the splitter down a little bit. So I missed a bunch of stuff. I'm going upwards. Is Vanquish making a sway bar for the Rift? It's a possibility. It's not done yet. And I actually have the axial sway bar for the Rift here somewhere. I haven't put it on mine yet, but I don't know where it went. Maybe I took it to the shop. I can't remember. My Rift is at the office, but they make a front servo mount that mounts to the front of the frame. Actually, I do remember that. Yeah, I can't. But doesn't it mount to the inner fenders, not to the actual? Oh, or do you mean like one of the, like an aluminum aftermarket one, or is it brass? If it's brass, there's not a chance I'll run it. Yeah, but I do actually remember something like that. That thing's bad to the bone. Honestly, it is such an impressive truck to look at for as oddball as it is. Let's see. I'm from the hi from the UK. Love the videos. What kind of truck is that? It is a Traxxas TRX6. It's just disguised and heavily modified to make it go fast. What about stickers? Also stickers. She will do all of that. Yes, it's on the list. Please make Fat Boy shirts, 4XL. I totally agree. Understand, Matt Connell. I think she will definitely handle it. Loved the build. I loved this thing too. I did put the playlist to this truck in the description below for anyone who hasn't seen it, because it is a pretty wild, fun series to watch. Bottom needs more screws. Yeah, other than like the 70 that it has. You should bring Bernie back, put him back on the shelf next to the Betty. Make him sit on the Betty. Is that front axle going to hit the motor? Ooh, Phoenix, that's a good question. Oh. Ruh-roh. Phoenix, that is... This is a very logical question to ask. Now, currently it's kicked over because of where the servo is, or because of where the servo mount needs to be cut out. But that is a real world concern. It's the upper link, actually. And man, it's the actual upper link mount or the upper link, not the mount, but the link that I think, man, if I have clearance, it's just millimeters. Ooh, that's a tough one. You're bursting my bubble. I'll make it work. I can, oh, you know what? So I can, if I hit the upper link mount on the axle, it's a double shear mount. So the link goes between the two upper link mounts. I can cut off one side and move the link to the other side. Actually, I think I could brace it. If I had to, I could get one of the like alloy housings if I have to, just so that it's got enough strength there. And I could straighten out that upper link to get it out of the way. But it is a fixable problem. It's a good thing to point out. I will make sure and look very closely at that when I'm assembling, because that is a no joke issue. All right. Well, that's good to note. I must have moved the suspension. Did you see it move? Because yeah. It seems like it would be weird. Oh, oops, sorry. Where are we at? It seems like it would be weird going to an event and seeing your name on a shirt. Yeah. But right now, I already see them, and it's on Matt's shirts that say Harley resigns. So I feel like I need to do it just to see, so I have some that aren't just mocking me. Should have bought. What's it say? Just bought another 10.2 kit. Now I want to build a TRX6 like that. It's an absolutely ridiculous vehicle, but it was fun. Time for a lift kit. Oh, I know. Like, I will do anything I can to make sure, because I would almost like to, like I was saying, I could almost lower it more, I think. Like that is with the shocks slammed, and I still have maybe 10 millimeters under the belly. The front, I could slam the truck, I think, all the way, and then I could raise the front air dam up like 3 or 4 millimeters, and I think have everything in a pretty good spot. Now, if I absolutely slam this truck like this, my upper links here in the middle axle do get dangerously close to my super LCG battery tray, but we'll get there. I'm not too concerned. A few little things here and there, and I think that this will be in good shape. Missing that interference makes me rethink all knowledge I've gained about roundabouts and road crown. I'm at the theoretical stage here. You run into those issues before too long. I have a link design that only uses two lower or uppers, whichever is needed. Oh, like if you're talking about like a radius arm? So like with a third mount. I did that on the Woods Runner, actually, as well. It's just got 2 lowers, and then it's got a short link that runs, or basically like a braced section that helps for that. Also would be an option. I don't have as good of link mounting areas on this. But yeah, you could do a radius arm style to help get everything done. Since it runs a panhard, I could do that if needed. But I don't think that I'm going to have to go that far. I think I'll be able to knock this out with some fairly simple moving about. A couple new rod ends, a new link, and some spacers, and I think that this thing will still be in really good shape. Josh flexes suspension. We're gonna take a shot. I just came in late to the show. Are you running the portals? Nope, the portals were removed the very first week of the challenge, for mainly to actually fix the issue of gearing. Because if we ran the portals, you would have to spin the motor so fast that it was that it would have just been really difficult. And to find a motor that had high enough kV would have been an issue. So we removed the portals to get rid of that gear reduction out the outside, and then did do some other swaps. I think I ended up putting what did I do? I can't remember what ratio I put in the axles. Maybe I did put the overdrive gears in. That was what I did. Because I wanted to try and reduce the ratio even further. So I already have overdrive gears in all 3 axles. There we go. I have to remember now. Just got a DR10 kit as our local drag season comes up here in Colorado. I'm pretty excited to go fast. The drag stuff is quite fun. It never stops here just because our weather's pretty good. So it's always rolling. Josh, have Nicole do small builders guild. I think I had snail guilders build on, on the wing, right? The snail builders guild. Can you limit those shocks a little more? I absolutely could. Right now I've got them limited like a 1/4 inch, 6 millimeters, something like that. I could limit them down a little bit more, and that's kind of what I was talking about previously. One thing I am surprised about is that this has got the stock drive shafts throughout the entire car. Those stock plastic Traxxas drive shafts did 65 miles an hour in this thing without an issue. Pretty good. Double shear, shingle shear, it shouldn't matter on road if you can avoid curbs, and it won't matter if you don't avoid curbs. Pretty good point, Stabby Josh. I think that is the case. The only things that I can see running into is where I move it. I've got another rod end for the panhard really close. I think a 2 millimeter spacer to move that forward just a hair more. I think that this whole thing will be a fairly easy obstacle to overcome. Definitely one that needs to be, but been building my VS410 Pro and love it. Also got 3 old Futaba FX10 buggies coming in the mail. I'm going to rebuild. Futaba made buggies? Didn't know that. Greetings from Germany. Thanks for joining, Marcus Haas. Josh, a 2-link with an extra small brace. So a 3-link? Kind of. It's different though, because the other link is on the link. So it's not really a 3-link, but it's got 3 links. Don't forget to 350. Yes, hit the like button if you enjoy the streams. It always helps. Josh built an SEX10 to 11.4 wheelbase, needing some body ideas for the 11.4. I feel like if you're building an 11.4, I think isn't there a bunch of really great hard body options? Like, well, there's some at least. Like I think the Toyota bodies are in that range. Am I wrong? Hilux bodies and stuff have a fun hard body build, so might be a good idea. Otherwise, you're only a link change away from having any wheelbase you want. So what would cause a truck to judder when turning more when you go backwards in a straight line? So caster angle, or the caster, you have the knuckles in your car, and as they tilt back, that's your caster angle. That helps you track smoothly forward. But when you go in reverse, it has the opposite effect. So in reverse, it'll get all wonky on you. So it's your caster angle could absolutely cause that. I mean, depending on how fast you're really talking about going. Let's see. Double shear could be necessary if the single shear mount picks up vibrations from the suspension. The vibration at speed creates issue in real car. It could, you know. With this, I think that I will be able to have everything be stable enough. And I think that the real strength or the location of the axle is all from the panhard link. So the 3 links, as long as they're just keeping the axle solid in, because all the 3 links really do is locate the axle in its angle, so it doesn't want to change pinion angle too drastically or cause it to rock under power. And then the panhard link is what locates it side to side. So I should be in good shape. Just keep the thing controlled, bro. Your ankles will thank you. Yeah. It was really the inside of that left foot that really took the brunt of the hit. Futaba FX10. It looked like a Tamiya buggy. That's wild. I had no idea that Futaba made it. Made by Tamiya for Futaba. That makes a lot of sense. Check your messages, Josh. I need Futaba help. Hopefully you sent it on my. Did you send it on my Harley Designs page? I don't check my personal page, so don't message me there. Bought my son a 2-wheel drive /Wednesday. Ran it for the first time today. Just bought $60 worth of replacement parts. You know, make him fix it or teach him how to fix it, because then you will start him into the hobby. The single cab TF2 body, first 11.4. Yes, great. Just finished. Fits 11.4, just great. That's what I was thinking as well. Get crazy today. Run 2-motor ESC and trans with higher gearing in the front by a tooth versus the rear. I've done that hill climb track. That is, I think that the weight plus just fitting it and matching gear ratios would be more than it's worth. I sent it Facebook. Well, hopefully you send it to my Harley Designs Facebook, because yes, I do not check my personal Facebook. They all just go to my message requests folder, and that is a black hole. Dale C. T intersections, 2 lanes in straight direction. Why the F do they not put a divider to allow free travel for the straight lane? Oh, you mean on the outside one where there is no, so you can just have a free movement? I know what you mean. I get what you're talking about. You could have that outside one. There is no, it is a possibility, yes. But oftentimes that can be, they don't want the difference in speed in those areas. They don't want one lane. It's hard to sign that where the outside lane doesn't have a stop sign, but the inside lane does in that situation. Because an outside lane, if there's a stop sign on the left, you should still see it. Otherwise, it's hard to put. Very difficult to handle for signage, Dale. There you go. Your traffic problem of the day. And our viewer count drops. Josh never answers his MySpace. Also true. UMG 10 versus Raw Builder's Kit, which has better components? Oh, that's actually a really good question. So I have the UMG 10 kit here. I think that both of those come with almost identical components as far as the Raw Builder's Kit comes with all of the aluminum link lengths. So you can build whatever wheelbase you want. Whereas the UMG 10 doesn't, but it comes with the body, obviously. But I think almost everything else matches. Hey Josh, did you change the hub size for the wheels? On this? No. These are regular 12 mil because the drag wheels and tires that I'm running are just 12 millimeter hexes. So I had changed them to 17 millimeter at one point when I was running the Banditos, but I ended up going back to this setup because they were a little bit lighter weight, and those Banditos were growing even more than these. Like these grow a little bit, but I've got the Crawler Innovations foams in them, so it helped control that. But these Banditos, they were growing and starting to touch, maybe even a little smoke. Have you thought about having an intermission to pee? I don't need one. I can. You don't know what's underneath this desk. There we go. So funny. So funny. Just got the Cross Emo AT4 and it's awesome. I have not bought that one yet. That's one since I can get it in a kit, it's a thought. I may pick it up. We shall see. What are your thoughts on under overdrive diff gears? I love the ability to adjust the gearing in the diffs. I would, in a trail truck, I would normally prefer to underdrive and get more ratio because then you can reduce torque twist, you know, the effects of torque twist even further. So if I only had one option, I would always underdrive. So in that case, you would underdrive a rear axle and then keep a standard ratio in a front, you know, or if you want all the overdrive percentage difference, then you would do underdrive rear, overdrive front. That's what I did on that flat rail chassis I built a couple weeks ago. First time caller, long time listener. Can we have a view of the interface on the motor? You mean on this one? So this is a aluminum upgraded motor mount. I'm not sure who makes it, but it's got fixed gear mesh because you can't see into a TRX4 to adjust it. So you have to look up in the manual what size tooth count you have, what size spur gear you have, and then you put it in the position that they say, and then you just drop it in, bolt it in, and the gear mesh is done for you. Any wheel weight option for the Incision aluminum rims? You could, those are, if you're talking about the 1.9s, those are all 0.8 inches wide. So you could run the Vanquish 0.75, or I can't remember how, I think I call them 0.75, brass inner rings. So you need to fix the camera. It fell down a bit. I can't imagine why you would want me to move the camera up. Dale, the only T intersection that has the divider has the 405 going over it, so you don't see the signals until you pass the overpass. It's awesome. Surprise red light. Speaking of Unimogs, at lunch on Friday I drove by a house that had 4 Mercedes Unimogs in the yard and a Ford Ranger. Not even kidding. Evan, you know that you should take photos of things. This is an instance where, I mean, obviously he spent all of his money on Unimogs and then only had enough money for a Ford Ranger. Gaming chair with catheter option. To vent or not to vent, and where and how for crawling. I always vent my tires for crawling. For me, I vent them in the actual tire. I don't drill the wheels because closed cell foams, which I run most of the time, do not let air travel through. So I always vent the tire, and I vent it. I put 2 holes in them about 1/8 of an inch in diameter on opposite sides, just in the tread, like not on an actual tread lug, but just on the area between the treads. I do it with a Lexan scissor. I just cut one direction, cut the other, pull it out. I do it one on each side. I've never ripped a tire from it, and I always vent. Bring back the drag bolt. It is in the garage. It is in, I feel like I could do the drag bolt, but better now, just because of things that I've learned and things, better equipment that I had now than I did at the time. At the time, I only had a 3D printer, really. So that was really where I was kind of limited on design. Now, I do think that I could push that car further, but that was only a 12-inch wheelbase, which was an absolute handful. It was very difficult to drive. It was super susceptible to changes in aerodynamics. Dang. So this is a 12.5-inch wheelbase from here to here. Let alone the extra 6 inches you get for the rear. This car is an 18-inch wheelbase. That is no joke. Made the switch to Futaba from Spectrum, but it's confusing. Yeah, I'll help you out, Jimmy. I'll check my messages a little bit later. My current ratios are 3.0 front, 3.75 rear. Good or no? Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Yeah, absolutely. What did this start as? Traxxas TRX6. I'll put the body back on for people who are joining. When I underdrive the rear on my Capra, I noticed a lot of torque twist, or is it I just noticed it then? It's partially because you noticed it, but partially once you add drag to that, the front is going to want to, it's going to fight itself and keep trying to twist. The problem with the Capra is that the gear ratio is such shit in the first place that it a lot of stuff is exaggerated. That transmission in the Capra is garbage. And the dig is garbage. The ratio is garbage. It's terrible. So it's probably the main reason why I dislike the Capra so strongly. I really wish that I liked my Capra more. It's the vehicle for me. It's performance oriented. It's got a cage. The axles are a little bit wider. I love everything about it on paper. And then when I drive it, I was just like, I do not like this car. And I was so bummed about that. I feel like I need to completely go back, redo that, start with a new one, and do all of the changes that I want and see if I can get exactly the setup that I like, because so bummed. Steve Finley, I appreciate the donation, sure. Have you tried the Knight Customs VS410 inner fenders yet? Have them printing now? I have not yet. I will. I would like to print them in like TPU. I just think that would be like an awesome thing. My printer, I have not tried TPU on this one. I am probably going to buy that Prusa that Matt bought, but yeah, we'll see. But that's definitely on my list. Dale C, legit question. After the big motor upgrades and re-gearing, how do you think that would stand up against these drag cars? Not a chance in hell. This thing would, you have to kind of ease into this to get it going. It does not launch well. Just with all of the axles, like reverse, or like, what would you even call that? Like torque twisting in two directions. It's just all over. If I put some like real big fat sway bars on both these rear axles, maybe that would help, but and I thought about sway bars, and it's something maybe I'll do because that could help, but it would need some serious work to be able to launch. On a VS410 Pro, is the servo horn 20 millimeters long overall, or from center hole to center hole? From center hole to center hole is that dimension, Bartow? How many squares is that? Oh, sorry. Scrolled way down real fast. There we go. What were your thoughts about comping a flat rail chassis? Do you think that you could have done better with a VP? Scott Manis kicked butt running a VP chassis. Yeah, Scott Manis ran a VS410 chassis in Class 1 and he was in the finals. You know, he made it. He was in the top 5 drivers. So do I think I could have done better? I mean, I probably could do better if I had built a car and practiced and things like that. Then I don't think the chassis helped me or held me back. It's just the fact that I've driven it. The only time I had driven it before any of the Class 1 courses were when you guys saw me drive it on video in the courses previously. I haven't driven it anymore, tested it anymore, anything like that. Like, I don't practice very much with that. Like, if I go out driving, it's driving my VS410 Pro on a cool trail somewhere. I don't really go test that type of truck that often. So it's more about dedication and practice, which a lot of those guys have. I put a 3-gear transmission in my Capra. Yeah, that's the exact route that I would go as well. I did that on mine. No, I did it on that RC Speedy chassis, which the chassis then was the piece of crap. My OCD can't handle that the rear end sticks out so far from the back of the cage. Oh, yeah, but that's how full-size buggies are. That's realistic in a lot of ways. If only you knew an RC company that could build a complete replacement drop-in transmission in new dig unit for a Capra, right? Capra, I underdrove the rear and running an 8-tooth pinion. Yeah, that's the best way to try, but it's still just not a good transmission with not enough reduction, and the dig is bad. Stealth X or axial with dig? Axial with dig all day long. What are we doing this morning? We're fiddling about, Moose Jaw. Playing with the TRX6 and looking at the new motor drop-in for it. What changes would you do to the Capra? Transmission and gearing would be the first. Just both the internal, replacing the whole transmission inside, and then the gearing and the axles would be pretty decent at that point. I would still add some underdrive, overdrive, and then just put a specific motor ESC combo in it for that, and then play around with the ride height overall. It's just way too tall, making sure that it had proper clearance everywhere, and try and make it reasonable to work on because it's a pain in the butt. Let me catch up, Moose Jaw. Josh wants to work on a TRX6. Josh gets distracted by us Q&A. Yeah. Will you be doing a live with a Capra redo? I feel like I should probably do a Capra build on a Friday night, and then from there I could turn that into something. But I've got a bunch of things that I'm kind of like at the end stages of finishing up, and that is first priority. And then I'll grab some more. After seeing the sidecar build, awesome by the way, maybe you could engineer a pro stock drag bike. There is one out of Australia that is available that I'm trying to pick up because that's kind of fun too. Thanks for the info. And are you going to ever run the Fat Fox? I mean, I should. It just looks so good. I probably need to run the Fat Fox and a couple of others. It's done and ready to go now. Obviously, the sidecar's running. Yeah. David Fuka, love their lives. Thanks for joining. I also remember when companies wired servos different and you had to pull wires and reverse them, or when you needed servo. Yeah, I do. Actually, I've seen that as well. He's playing with a large fidget device. Yeah, that's basically what all of these are. I just put something in front of me to keep waddling about around. I will say that before this stream started, I had to go grab a wet paper towel and try and wipe this truck down as much as possible because there was a tremendous amount of orange paint overspray on it from when I painted the semi truck. I mean, and I didn't even do a great job. You can actually still see it in a number of spots. Let me see. I mean, I did a pretty decent job, but it's like in the back corners. You can't really see it on camera, thankfully. Yeah. I painted in the garage, and it was in the proximity. It's pretty good now, though. Don't worry. Capra sucks to work on. It does. It really sucks to work on. But, you know, little things are getting it. The Bomber wasn't super easy, but better than the Wraith. And, you know. Do you know if beds have to be cab wide in Class 2? Lots seem to be rail width on your coverage. They do not have to be cab wide, I don't believe. But it depends on the classification of how they get. I think it like counts as a dovetail or a pinch on it. So, and you can only do, you can do a pinch front and dovetail rear, or you can do pinch front both sides. Like you can only do 2 of the 3 options. So that's what it kind of limits you with. Josh, have Nicole look into hats while she is doing t-shirts. I'll see if, so there's a local guy here who does printing who I plan to use. And I'm not sure if he does hats or not. Probably does. My bus. Ooh, Moose Jaw. The bus versus the Fat Fox. Ooh. Ready to, we have some racing to do, don't we? Will there be tactical hit bags too? So for the most part, we're going to try and handle actually doing all of the stuff ourselves rather than going through Teespring. Teespring's nice. It's very convenient. It's super easy. But you don't actually really make any money. You make like a couple of bucks or something like that for a shirt. So granted, there's a lot more work to do it yourself, but I think that it's going to be the way to go for us. And Nicole has the time to do it. So, and she's good at that type of stuff. So magic erasers may help overspray. Moose Jaw's a good idea. The nice thing was that the chassis, even though it was also covered, it was taken care of pretty easily with a air hose. So the body is the only area that needed some. It actually looked like some, like kind of, as I was wiping it off and like it was leaving areas, I was like, almost looks like patina. I am a painter now. Any chance of a quick video view around the Woods Runner before it shipped? Yes, I will do there'll be a full last video on that before it leaves, for sure. I will be so glad when this week is over. Been teaching adult evening classes again and no hobby time. Ooh, yeah. That, I know what you mean. That has been, I've been doing a bunch of stuff that has taken up a lot of my evenings as well. Not just live videos, but like other stuff. And Josh, do the Capras have offset portals? I've seen both. Possible swap on the Pro. So the Vanquish front Capra axle is offset. I believe that's the only one that is offset. And I did put one under a VS410 chassis with a VFD for my class 3 build for nationals last year that I sold before nationals actually happened this year. But the Rift is actually the Rift is actually pretty easy to work on in general. They really made some changes. The nice thing with the Rift is that they learned and they put everything mounted to the skid plate, the ESC and everything. It's all mounted to it. So you remove all those screws and the whole thing just comes down and you're just, there you go. You're done. So no double tucks. Is that possible? Is it weird that I'm 36 and I play with RC cars? I let my kids play with them too. Well, I'm 37. I don't have kids and I still play with RC cars every day. And it's how I pay my bills. So I just got the Vader skid to put a 3-gear in and dig in my Capra. I don't like losing the interior, so I modded a factory tray, and that's fine. But I don't have room for the servo. Stabby Josh, have you looked at the one of these servo mounts by UC Fab? It takes and it tucks the servo back around rather than out towards the rear. It 90 degree. Basically, it normally sits like this. It goes this way. Yeah, like that. So it's a really nice mount. They can be a little bit difficult to find, but they're useful. You may have to run a stubby servo though, depending on. So, tactical Crocs. Oh my god. I saw people whining about the winch stick at Scale Nats, but I'm always seeing them used. Is it kind of a new thing? Matt Conley, it's not a new thing at all. We've used them at competitions for a lot of years, but it's always one of those things like it's always controversial because many places we've gone or competed, even for nationals, you had to winch off of natural terrain only, which makes things much more difficult. And it takes a different level of skill, and you have to really get your winch hook set into the ground. You have to use like a land anchor. That's why I run a land anchor on mine, is because I'm so used to winching off of natural terrain, not off of winch sticks. So yeah. So has anybody mounted the dig servo in the fuel cell? I've never seen that, Stabby Josh. I usually try and keep mine mounted to the unit so that it's easy to, go take in, take out, not having linkages that you have to disconnect. Is there any way to be a private Facebook group for shirt owners? If you have hats, have them embroidered. That's probably the way to go. I would totally agree. Remember having to make your mod motors and end bells was on, right? Oh, I do not. I definitely wasn't in that area of RC. Are there any decent 2-speed transmissions? I don't like 2 speeds, so I'm not your Huckleberry. Hell yeah, you're a cool dude. It was a good answer. UC Fab needs to make more of these brackets. It's never available. I know what you mean. They are hard to find, but they're worth it. I don't know why they don't make more. Do you have the ARMA felony? Nope, I have an infraction though. The very first infraction, not the V2. I do love the felony, but it's so close to my infraction that I'm just like, I don't think I should buy both. Holmes Hobby Winch, the way to go. Man, if you are like a serious competitor, I absolutely see where that Holmes Hobbies winch is the way to go. It is so stupid fast. UC Fab has them right now. Hey, there you go. Honestly, even if you don't need one right now, you should go buy one, because they're so hard to find when you do, that they're worth going and picking up. Good on you, Brian Sherwood. But yeah, that Holmes Hobbies winch, so crazy fast, that it's but if you're not used, like, you need to have it and practice with it, because it is faster than most people drive. So you need to be ready to drive when you hit that button. I mean, crazy. If you use a winch stick, it should be shaped like a pimp cane. I'm on board for that, Wes. I 100% agree. 63, retired and restarting RC, playing. Slowed on, see? That's it, man. These are so much fun. They can be anything you want. They can be just something you go drive, or they can be something you just build and you don't even drive. They can be anything. That's the best part of RC. Freaking love it. Lone Star RC guy, thank you very much. Another fun stream. Thanks for checking in. Always glad when you stop. I'm 53 and play with RC cars, and I'm perfectly fine. Twitch, yeah. How ridiculous do the land anchors get when no winch stick? Darwin, that's actually a really good. That is a kind of a crazy. You see all kinds of land anchors, because you don't want them too big. Just because you have to drive around with it, but you want them to actually grab in. A lot of people use like a modified treble hook. They'll cut off one of the tines so they can get it in there. Some people have like brazed up their own to be able to like wedge it into places and it grab in multiple directions. It's like another thing, which is cool. I want an HT shirt with nothing on it but a serial number, just for a private group. I like that. Good 2-speed transmission equals good motor and ESC. Then put a little trigger. That's the thing. For me, I'm not a 2-speed fan. A good brushless motor and ESC will handle low speed and as fast as you want to go. So, just telling you. Can we see the infraction? No, it is in the garage on one of the shelves in there. So, UC Fab is out now. I just went and bought them all. I will list them on eBay. Local guy around Sacramento got sponsored by Holmes. He said the new winch is a huge difference. It is. I mean, it honestly is. It's crazy to see. Watching those guys who are good use it, so impressed. They save so much time on course being fast with that winch. They'd hook it up, whee, and just zip right up something, they disconnect it. Like a lot of time winching with people with slower winches is the actual time to winch out, to hook up. And then, of course, you actually have the time where you have to winch, but sometimes that can be slowed as you drive. But then you have to disconnect it and you have to winch it back in so that you can continue without it getting wrapped up in things. So much time is saved with that thing. It's nuts. It's expensive, but it's nuts. Is there a way to make a truck that doesn't break every 15 minutes while rock bouncing? It is my biggest problem with my Bomber right now. It breaks all the time. I mean, you have to, there is, of course, but you're using it, you have to understand the use case that you want versus what the price you want to pay. If you want things that are fast and strong, it's gonna, it's the three-legged stool. You have what? Fast, strong, and cheap, or fast, durable, and cheap. You can have two. You can have fast and cheap, but it's not going to be strong. You can have fast and strong, but it's not going to be cheap. Cheap and strong, it's not going to be fast. Boom. If they make a 2-speed for crawlers, they should be shaped like a power glide. It would be nice, because that'd be pretty small. Have you ever seen an actually scaled down accurate land anchor? They are close to 4 inches long. Yeah. What's the better drag chassis to get? I really enjoyed building my undercover drag wings chassis, which is right down there, but I'm not much of a drag racer. I just really enjoyed building it. So I can't tell you what the best one to get is. But I can say that I liked the undercover dragwing chassis. I met Greg Bridgewater, who is the owner, after I had got it. I met him in Vegas. Super nice guy out of Oklahoma. Just doing what he likes to do. So I can only say good things about him. What do you recommend for a crawler build? Oof, so many options. I mean, it really, like, what do you want to look at? Like, it's... what are you going to be happy? Like, get something you're going to be happy like looking at, because that's important. And you want to drive it. So if you like the looks of the axial, great, tons of aftermarket support. You like the looks of a Traxxas, great, super durable. You like the looks of an Element, great performer out of the box. Each of them also have a downside. The axial can have some breakage issues. The Element, not super rigid. It's got doesn't have great aftermarket support. The Traxxas, super durable, but not that great of a performer. So they're all over the place. Each one has pros and cons. You can get the Vanquish, super durable, performs well, but it's expensive. So again, it's up to you, kind of. You need to show this garage. See, my garage, you guys see in here, because I've curated the look carefully in here. My garage looks pretty much probably like your guys' garage. There's RC cars everywhere. Granted, my garage is taken over by RC because, like, you can't really pull a car in there right now because I have like my fabrication table with my welders and my grinders and all that stuff. And then I've got the CNC over there. So Nicole really is the most patient woman in the world. Is your garage covered by 3 inches of dust and orange overspray? Not that far off. An old sheet protects RCs and kept in the ground. That's probably a good idea. The college triangle, exactly. Oh, sorry, didn't stop scrolling for me. There we go. What did Moose Jaw say? I missed it. I would be the kind of guy who would buy a winch and still just kick the car over. See, that's my problem. I don't use a winch unless it's in competition. That's it. Are selling this? I really love the way it looks. I mean, everything's for sale, but this really isn't for sale right now. So, not currently. What's your method of cleaning a mud-dosed rig? For one, I don't go in the mud when possible. For two, my favorite method of cleaning a mud-covered rig is to sell it. Three, if I absolutely have to keep it, depending on how bad it is, a hose first, and then simple green and an air hose. I just freaking hate cleaning mud off of RC cars. God, I hate it. Gray matter bad, thank you, sir. Would you be willing to trade for the flat rail build? It is really hard for me to find trades. So I'm always up for things, but it's really hard for me to find a trade. So for a lot of reasons, it being that I'm in a little bit different situation than most in the hobby, it's difficult in that way. It's a garage filled with unorganized intentions. Yes. Garages or for one-to-one cars. Basements are for hobbies. Well, I live in California where basements don't exist. I'd show my garage if I had one. Alex, nice. In my opinion, scale goes to shit with the winching. Oh, I'm dropping frames. Joy. We'll see if it catches up quickly. And let's... Oof. It's catching up. Hold on. We'll get back to it. Put some of these tools away. Sorry. Dropping frames, but it's catching up now. So we're getting there. Maybe. And they dropped again. And okay. What do you I'm watching on a smart TV in the garage and the tablet on the patio. Does it count as watching, as two watching? I think that it does. So thank you. Pretty sure, but I'm not 100%. Hose, air, full rebuild. Laugh my out. Yeah, that's pretty much, if I have to go in the mud, like basically I'm going to just wash it down and then replace all my bearings. And not gonna, right now, my VS410 Pro is muddy. And it really needs a good cleaning, and I really don't want to do it. Do you like the TP Power? I haven't actually ran it yet. I've got it in the car, and I need to mount the XLX2, and there's still some work to do on that. So I'm a little ways off from actually running that. My front garage is my daughter's home dance studio, and my back one-car garage has a mower shop and project truck crammed into it. Okay. We all have different priorities, right? I definitely don't need a dance studio here. So lucky for me. Let's see. A-Main wants to cancel my back order for VP 105s in gray. Any ETA? So actually, yeah, we should have a lot more 105s shortly because we put a new machine online maybe a month ago, and it's starting to crank out a lot of 105s right now. So 105s should be rolling lots and lots. You know that Vanquish is the only company that makes a transmission that the Dig will work on now. Will there be a V3 for the SCX-10-2 transmission? For the SCX-10-2 or SCX-10-3? I don't know. I don't know that there will be. It would take so much to remove their stuff off and put... It's a tough one. I have a 2-car garage and I have to climb over 5 bikes, a ton of boxes, and my workbench to get my RC cars. A few more months and I am parkour ninja. I know what you mean. And that's part of the... I have a whole plan that I have to execute in the garage, depending on how many of these shirts Nicole feels like we need to order. You do trade president portraits for RCs. Yeah. I do also accept Bitcoin. I was about to check. My wife thought it was me. in the garage. RC builds in the air-conditioned indoors. Also, the only thing is that when things have to get too messy, I go to the garage. Much grinding or anything like that. Also, having the CNC in here, be a bit of a headache. I just finished my own tube chassis build. Love it. That is the best. Building your own tube work, so much fun. Favorite KOH style RC? I mean, the Bomber's really the only one. I mean, I guess that you could call like the Rock Ray one, but I don't really like the Rock Ray. So I guess if I was saying one that's available, it would be the Bomber, because that's really the, yeah. Have Dan wash the Pro. Send it to me, I'll clean it up for you. The 2-car garage only has 1 car in it. Yeah, my 2-car garage has no cars. Let's see. Are the designs on a 68-inch big screen? See? I can see your pores. I need to do it. Need to do some work. Has Castle figured out why the XLX2 is bursting into flames yet? Brent, I believe that they have, because there's like an update for it that is very important that you do. I am told by all of the people. Basically, I had posted a photo of that XLX2 on Instagram at one point, and I got like 15 messages being like, make sure you update the firmware so it doesn't explode. I'm like, okay, I'll make sure to do that. I bought it direct from Castle, and I bought it recently, so I assume that it's got the proper one on it, but I will still plug it into the Castle link and make sure that it's got the most recent firmware. Oni is also saying, patch is all that I've seen released for the info as the fix. That's all that I'm aware of too. I'd buy your dirty VS410 Pro for $300. Funny story, C3PO. I actually bought a used VS410 Pro for $300 not too long ago. Now, it's in an interesting condition, and that's all I'll say about that. You guys will see it on the channel, but yeah, $300. That's what I got it for, and it had some upgrades. Will you ship shirts to the UK? Nigel, that is a great question. With the whole VAT thing, I suppose, I don't know. Why not? Just ship them and see if they get mad at us. It's whatever. You know, Vanquish, we obviously have a different situation where we have to be pretty careful, but like, just shipping some stuff to the UK. It's fine. Why do I still play with toy cars? Because they fit on my lap. I did not do the tube work, but I did have to kind of rework the front to clear the servo. See, honestly, the best way that, like for me, when I was learning to do tube work, the best thing was to like start with something and modify, because it was so much easier to learn to have to rework things than to like starting from scratch. Whole different world, really. And I myself have just bought some new tools for tube work that I want to try. I bought myself a new dedicated rotary tool, like a big Dremel, basically, that I'm going to mount permanently into some sort of clamp. And then I bought a 3/16 inch diameter burr tool. So it's like a knurled tool, basically. And I'm going to set up a adjustable slide so that I can take the tube and push it down into that, so that I can put like a perfect cope onto my tubes, so that for welding, and it should make things look way better. Pretty excited for that. Very, very excited. Very nice. See, my 2-car garage has a 69 Camaro in it. I mean, I could put my 69 Camaro in it. So no, I'm kidding. It's a Kyosho. Gotta love a 69 Camaro though. Tower Hobbies just leaked the new t-shirts that aren't designed yet. Yeah. Stream stopped from Scotland, where I have got my trusty old Rusty ready to bash on 3S. Yeah, thanks for stopping in. Well, speaking of, we're going to do this for 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to cut this off for the day. Let you guys go get something done as well. I have to go get some work done out of the house. Throw your muddy rig in the shower. Steve D, I have done that in a hotel room in Columbia, Missouri. After an event Holmes threw in what year? God, I don't remember what year would have been. 2013 maybe? Something around then. 2013, yeah, about. I was just like, we got rained on. We were super cold. I got back to the hotel. I'm just like, I'm going to throw this in the shower. It was not a pretty scene. I tried to clean it up as best as possible. I don't think Nicole was amused by that, but we were only dating then, so she couldn't say too much. Love to do my own tube work, but my dad won't let me because apparently I would set the garage on fire. It's some initial supervision would be good, but then it's fine. You're too fancy with your tools. I know. See, but good tools make things, spend a little time getting things set up, and then it makes for such nice results. With the VS410 Pro with a Ultra rear axle or VS410 Ultra with a Pro front axle. I would say VS410 Pro with an Ultra rear axle because you can get it. Because the rear axle is just a regular F9 portal rear, where you can't buy the VS410 Pro front axle separately. So if you buy the Pro, you can get an Ultra rear, or you can get a regular F9 rear portal, and then you still have to do the fiddling that I had showed in my video to flip things around. But that is the way to be able to actually achieve that same build. I just used a 3/16 file in 2 of the Harbor Freight 2.5-inch vices. And that's what I've pretty much done at this point, but it's just a lot of work. Put it in there, done. Seconds saved every time. I bet that staff loved you. Yeah, Alex, I think that was why Nicole wasn't like super impressed with that move. Tried to wash it down as much as I could. Might have been some grass still in there. I'm not sure. Is that G in J and G stand for Garrett? The world makes... Oh, I don't know what that means. Is the G in J and G stand for Garrett? The world makes element. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's fine. Is that responding to somebody else? Because I have no idea what that statement means. Good tools give you motivation to get that work. That is also true. Especially you get things set up and you're just like, oh, it works so well. Like, and if you have it and it can be done quickly, you're just like, oh, if you have to like remake a tube, you're like, okay, fine. I'll remake it so that it fits better. And you just do it, get done, in and out. What's your favorite rig in your collection? Ooh, that's a really good question. I mean, the one I drive is my VS410 Pro. I love my Ripper for what it is, for the reason. The Woods Runner is probably my favorite build, though. I would call it my favorite, even though it's not mine anymore. It is sold. It belongs to Ben. But it just has to be. And it's basically finished now. I just need to kind of get him what it is. Get it to him. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't mounted the actual dash into it, or the electronic dash, and then it needs wired, but I'm going to make him wire it. Check out Rigid 3/16 tubing bender. Want your thoughts? Rigid 3617. That's, oh wait, and a bunch of other numbers. I am going to look that up because I'm always interested in different tools. I'm just going to hit paste. Oh, keyboard's down here. We'll see what that. Oh, that style tubing bender. those are okay. That's basically just like a brake line bender. And that type of bender is okay, and it works for brake line. But they've got a large radius, and I don't love that. So it's not the type of bender that I've got some kind of fancy benders that I've been using that some of them aren't available anymore. But the biggest problem with brake line benders is the radius. And I wish that you could find them smaller, but they know that they don't need to for that type of tubing. So thanks for the early stream. No problem. I enjoyed doing the early stream on Sundays. I'll trade you my G-Made sawback for 1/2 of your Pro. No, Jake, I will not. I have a G-Made sawback, actually. It's on a pallet at the shop with a bunch of other RCs. What brand chassis took first place in Class 2 at Scale Nats? Let's see, Class 2, a Kaika one. So it was a Crawl Space Game Changer was what won. So that Crawl Space Game Changer took second in Class 1, first in Class 2, and first in Class 3. All driven by a Kaika who is a hell of a driver. So, and the one who developed the chassis. So they take that for what it's worth. It's a really good driver, not always just the chassis, but he knows what he's doing. So it's worth noting. Well, have a good one. Need to do some editing for my video tomorrow. Thanks for joining, Wes. Appreciate it. Check out the video tomorrow. I just spent $100 on a few new hex tools and other pockets needed for bashing. My favorite, Tiny Dancer. Yes. Three-wheel RCs are just a whole class of their own. And my collection is starting to get significant. I do think I am going to try and find the Red Cat Striker somewhere. I found one. Jeremy Burris sent me a link to a website that says they have them in stock. And I've fallen for that before, tried to get it, and then it gets canceled. They don't actually have it. But this one has a phone number. So I think I'm going to try and call them tomorrow, see if they have it, and then have them send it. So if they do, we'll see. Mystery trade? How brave are you? Not that brave. Here in Belgium, we leave our trucks muddy and call it patina. That is sometimes my method. Sometimes if they're just like muddy, but in just not a terrible way, I'll be like, I'm just going to drive it until it self-cleans. You know, like most of it will come off. It'll come off to a point where when I air hose it off later, the rest of it will come off. Like that's good enough. Want to sell the sawback? Not really. I mean, I guess my biggest thing is like, I don't want to go dig it out of that pallet for what it's worth. Like that's my bigger problem. I don't want to go through the hassle of unburying it from my 2 pallets of crap and then having to ship it. So I would rather just not. I use the brake line bender pliers, works for me. They work fine. I feel like the radius is too large for a realistic look on RC. In full-size stuff, the bends aren't that sweeping. They're pretty tight. And when you scale them down, those brake line bends would be huge in comparison. So that's why I don't like brake line benders. I like a bender with about half as much radius as those brake line benders use. So that's the reason that I don't like to use them. The Contender is the Class 1 crawl space chassis. Cody, thank you. Yeah, I definitely don't. I just knew where. So that makes sense. Contender for Class 1 and then Game Changer for Class 2 and 3. Look at the 44150 Lyle tubing bender. Makes tight bends. All right. Oops. Let's search that one. That's an interesting, a little bit smaller, huh? That's kind of, It's kind of a different style. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I wonder how well it works on like the DOM tubing. With that, so the one thing with the DOM tubing is the you kind of have to have it supported. I feel like that one to support it would be a little bit odd. Huh, interesting. It might be worth picking those up. I'm gonna throw them in my Amazon cart for $20. It's kind of it's worth checking out. I mean, even if I use them just for like some sort of oddball specialty situation, added. We will see. Sounds like too much crap on the pallets. Oh yeah, you should see them. They're ridiculous, and that's kind of the problem. A lot of it I haven't touched since I moved to California. So they're like, it's like 5+ years old, random RC crap that's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. There's like, I don't even know. There's so much stuff on there that is just, yeah. Every time I walk past them, I'm just like, oh God. I put them up on the pallet racks the other day. So at least it's like 10 feet out of the air and like out of mind. It's like, I don't know where it's at. Anyway, it's 12:02. So, sorry for anybody who's just joining, but we're done with this one. So, as always, appreciate you guys joining. I'm glad that my audio was fixed today so that everything sounded appropriate. I think that we're back to a decent quality for the production value of these live streams. With that, though, hope you guys have an awesome Sunday. Have a great rest or start to your week, and we'll see you on Tuesday for the Scale News Update. And we'll see what else I can get done before then. Auction off a pallet, sell it by the pallet. You gotta come get it. It's like Amazon return stuff. I would be, sounds like a yard sale soon. I would, except I don't like having people come to the shop. So, that's good. Anyway, all right, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good rest of your Sunday. See you later.